Today we're going to check out a numpad from NiZ, but also talk about numpads themselves and how they can be used in a desktop setup. One of the greatest features of mechanical keyboards is customizability and being able to tailor a setup that's just right for you. For many people, a full-size keyboard that has a dedicated numpad isn't absolutely 100% necessary because not everyone constantly uses it and can get away with using the number row or even having them on another layer. And because of this, we can use smaller keyboards like the very common 10 keyless keyboards or smaller like 75, 60, 40%, etc. Here I have the NiZ EC21-XLED Electrostatic Capacitive Numpad from digitevil.com. In one of the previous videos, I checked out one of their 10 keyless keyboards, which is also electrocapacitive. First of all, the design is very simple, which I appreciate. It's a clean rectangular design with a chamfered edge all the way around. The chamfered edge reveals a more glossy finish, but the rest of it is this quite textured plastic finish that looks good and doesn't pick up any fingerprints. The keycaps are a classy white and grey with a clean typeface, and the legends look lasered on, so unfortunately they're not die subbed or anything. They're nice and thick 1.5mm keycaps, and like their keyboards, these are cherry profile keycaps. So they're shorter than your standard OEM caps that you see everywhere, which is a profile I really like and many else do. And this only comes in white, so while it does look nice, it may not match your setup. On the bottom we have 4 flat rubber feet for non-slip and a large flip out foot which is actually quite tall, giving it quite a bit of elevation. All NiZ products are programmable, so we can remap the keys, set macros and all that stuff, which I didn't cover in the last video with their keyboard. This is a great feature to have on a numpad like the Ducky Pocket that I checked out a while ago, and this feature sets it apart from a standard numpad. We can download their software and this allows us to do a whole bunch of stuff, and they also have a manual there. There are 2 modes, which is office mode being the default and custom mode. And this is pretty standard fare when it comes to software like this. We can set shortcuts, program a key to be any other key, open up programs, record macros, have multimedia controls. We can even emulate the mouse functions. It's all pretty self-explanatory and you can make it pretty much do what you want. Being able to program different functions to an external numpad is a huge feature if you have those requirements. For example, when using various work programs like video editing software like Premiere Pro, you can set a key to carry out a function which may be hidden in a drop-down menu, and this would be the same for all sorts of programs that involve such things like CAD, music and art programs, and the list goes on. And of course games. I mostly stick to FPS, so I don't personally really use macros and shortcuts, so I wasn't really able to get the best out of it and test it properly. But you do see many gaming keyboards which will have a bunch of macro keys on the left hand side, like the Corsair keyboards, and obviously some people find them useful, but I guess it depends on the games that you play. However, its effectiveness is totally up to you. You really do have to push yourself to get the best out of it, and that will take time and effort to get used to pressing different buttons than what you're already used to. And that's how it is with all different keyboard layouts. It takes time, but in the end it can be beneficial. One of the biggest advantages of using a smaller keyboard is that it gives us more space on our desk. So if desk space is at a premium, then it's a no-brainer to get a smaller keyboard. And in giving us more space on our desk, it gives us more space for our mouse and allows us to bring our mouse closer to the center for a more natural shoulder and arm position. Having a separate numpad also means that we can move it wherever we want on the desk. We can have it completely out of the way, we can have it on the other side of our mouse, or we can have it on the left side of our keyboard amongst other places. Probably the more common scenario for moving the numpad would be switching between gaming and work. For gaming, that extra space for large mouse movements is valuable, and you do see many gamers angle their keyboard for more space. Like the other NiZ products, these are using electrostatic capacitive key switches, which is the same technology as the famous Japanese Topre switches, so these are just clones. The cool thing about these though is that these have Cherry MX stems, so the keycaps can be replaced, and these also come in this very light 35 gram weight. I've gone in depth about these switches in the previous video and also in others, but basically these are not mechanical but are using rubber domes. However, these are much better than the regular run-of-the-mill membrane keyboard. So we have the keycap, which is on top of the plunger, which we push down just like a normal switch, and that depresses the rubber cup, which has a conical spring inside, and then that interacts with a capacitive sensor on the PCB, which creates that actuation. This creates a different experience in comparison to a typical mechanical switch. It's much like a rubber dome where the tactile bump isn't sharp and distinct and is towards the top instead of the middle. For more info on these switches, you can watch my previous video on their keyboard, but yeah, I really love the feel of light capacitive key switches. They're just so soft and relaxing to use, but most other people do prefer heavier domes to increase tactility, so it's just a personal preference. And I guess I have to talk about the lighting since it's in the model name, but it's a fixed rainbow, which I never really like. If you're gonna have multicolored lighting, then it just has to be customizable RGB, otherwise you should just stick with the one color in my opinion. There are a few patterns and lighting effects that you can do, but for pretty much 95% of the time I just kept the lights off, which you can do with FN and 2, and it just makes it much more classy. And finally, these are not cheap. It is feature rich with the customizability and does come with the electrostatic capacitive switches, which are more expensive than the traditional MX style switch, and there's just not that many capacitive numpads out there. So overall, separate numpads are a versatile tool for your setup. Again, it's an option for your setup to be used in conjunction with your keyboard. You can use it for various programs and use cases to improve efficiency. And the numpad itself looks nice and feels great when in use, but they are scratchy as they are clones. The lighting is there, but I don't think much of it. If you're gonna have mixed colors, it's gotta be customizable or a singular color at least, so I just leave it off. But also at the end of the day, it gives you an excuse to buy another cool input device. Thanks to digitevil.com for providing this numpad, as well as their EC87 keyboard, and I'll put links in the description.